Welcome to the Dip Dive. Today, we're tackling a really big question, one that hits close to home for a lot of people, often right in the middle of, well, deep pain.
Hmm.
If there's a good God, why do we see so much suffering? And this isn't just, theoretical.
Yeah.
It's something you, listening right now, might be wrestling with. Maybe loss or sickness, injustice, or just feeling like, where is God in all this?
That's exactly right. And the sources we're looking at today, they really dive into that tension. We'll be looking especially through the lens of Romans 8.28.
Okay.
But our goal here isn't to give you some kind of neat, tidy answer. That wouldn't do it justice.
Right, because it's complex, deeply personal.
Exactly. So instead, we want to sort of unpack what these sources offer, how they might help navigate this really tough question, honestly, without downplaying the pain.
Okay, let's get into it then. This whole struggle, this questioning God when things are hard,
Yeah.
it's definitely not new.
Oh, absolutely not. It's woven right into the texts people often turn to.
Think about Job, for instance. Here's someone the text calls righteous, right. Yet he goes through just unimaginable loss. And he doesn't just sit there quietly. He questions God, loudly, forcefully.
He really does. And that kind of raw honesty, it isn't just Job. You see it with David in the Psalms too.
Yeah, those cries of feeling totally abandoned, forsaken.
That gut feeling, that sense of being alone when you're suffering, it's right there. And maybe the most powerful example, Jesus.
On the cross.
On the cross,
Yeah.
uttering that, just heartbreaking question, my God, why have you forsaken me?
So, and this is, I think, really important. If you've ever felt that ache, asking, where is God right now?
Yeah.
You're actually in pretty remarkable company. You're alongside these central figures of faith who wrestled with the exact same thing.
That's such a key takeaway. These weren't people with shallow faith. Their faith was forged, really, in the fire of suffering.
And their honesty, their willingness to ask the hard questions.
It shows us that questioning isn't some sign of weak faith. It's human. It's a response voiced throughout history by people trying to make sense of God's presence, his purpose in their lives.
Okay, so let's bring in that verse you mentioned, Romans 8.28. It's a cornerstone here, something the sources highlight,
Right.
often quoted for comfort. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him. But the nuance here is critical.
Absolutely crucial. What's fascinating is what the verse doesn't say. It doesn't promise that everything that happens is good.
No, clearly not. Life throws terrible things at us.
Exactly. Hardship, pain, they happen. The promise, the transformative bit, is that even the worst things, when we sort of bring them to God, surrender them, they can be worked towards good, channeled into something purposeful.
Can we make that more concrete? The Joseph story comes to mind.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
His life for a long time looks like just one tragedy after another.
Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, then wrongly jailed. It's just relentless suffering.
It really is.
Yeah.
But then you look at the bigger picture, right? Later, he confronts those same brothers.
And he says that incredible line.
What you meant for evil, God used for good. That's Genesis 50.21, and that's Romans 8.28 playing out right there.
So the evil wasn't suddenly good.
Not at all. But God, in his sovereignty, his ultimate plan, could weave even those terrible acts into a positive outcome.
Okay, so the main message isn't, don't worry, you'll never experience pain.
Definitely not. The sources are clear. Suffering is part of being human.
The promise is different. It's
Ah.
God's presence with us, right in the thick of it.
Yes, that's the fundamental shift. God commits to being in the pain with us, not removing it necessarily, but being present within it.
Which naturally leads to the next question. If he doesn't shield us from it, what's the point? Does suffering have a purpose?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. There's that C.S. Lewis quote. It's quite thought-provoking. God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pain.
Shouts in our pain. That makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
It really does. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, it's in those loud, painful moments that we're forced to listen more intently.
The sources seem to suggest suffering can, soften hearts. Hearts that have gotten hard through ease or just relying on ourselves.
Yeah, kind of like how a drought cracks open hard earth, making it ready for rain, ready for seeds. Suffering can break down our defenses sometimes.
It can also, I suppose, reveal what we're really made of.
That's another key insight. It strips away the superficial stuff, shows our true character, the good, the bad, the weaknesses, the strengths. It clarifies what really matters.
And pushes us to grow in ways comfort maybe wouldn't.
Comfort rarely pushes us, does it? Suffering often does. It can also, paradoxically perhaps, draw us closer to Jesus.
How so?
Well, when we feel weakest, most vulnerable,
Yeah.
that's often when we're most likely to reach out, to depend on something or someone beyond ourselves.
There's that other Romans passage, isn't there? Romans 5.
Right, Romans 5, verses 3 and 4 talks about rejoicing in sufferings, which sounds counterintuitive.
Very.
But it says suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character hope. It's a process.
So suffering isn't just a dead end. It could be the start of something deeper.
Potentially, yes. A catalyst for growth, for refinement, for a hope that's tested and true. It suggests pain can be woven into a bigger story. It's not meaningless, even if it feels that way at the time.
No, probably one of the most comforting ideas in these sources is that God himself isn't distant from suffering.
Yes, this is huge.
Yeah.
We aren't looking to some detached deity who just observes our pain from, way up high.
We're talking about the core of Christian belief here.
Exactly. We're talking about Jesus, a savior who didn't just see human suffering. He jumped right into it. He participated fully.
Rejection, betrayal.
Physical agony, feeling abandoned, he experienced it all.
He embraced the cross. He knows intimately what deep suffering feels like.
Let that sink in. The implication for you, the listener, going through whatever you're going through, it's immense.
It means you're not alone in it.
Not at all. It means you're not facing something God doesn't understand. You are seen, you are loved, and you are accompanied by a God who has walked this road himself.
So as we start to wrap up this deep dive, it's clear, isn't it? There's no simple, neat answer to why a good God allows suffering.
No neat package we can tie up. The mystery, in some ways, remains, and acknowledging that is okay. It's part of faith, maybe.
But what we can take away from these sources is, I think, a really powerful truth.
Which is?
That pain isn't proof that God is absent.
Right.
In fact, it might be the very place where his presence becomes most real, most tangible, like feeling a hand holding yours in the dark.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
So if you're hurting right now listening to this, please hear this. You are seen. You are not alone.
Whatever it is you're facing, the message here is presence. God is with you, and your story isn't over yet.
Yeah, your story isn't finished.
Which leads us to maybe a final thought for you to chew on. How might understanding God's presence in the suffering, rather than just wishing for its absence, how might that shift things for you?
How might it change how you look at your current challenges? Or even past pain?
It's something to reflect on. It might open up unexpected perspectives, maybe even eventually a deeper kind of peace.